Mr. Kevin, you're under arrest.
What evidence do you have to arrest me?
You have the right to remain silent, but anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
Mr. Kevin is my father. He's a government official who embezzled a significant amount of money. The person who reported him is his subordinate. After Dad went to prison, Mom disappeared, and now I've become an orphan. My hands feel powerless and alone. I've even forgotten my age and the fact that I'm supposed to face the daunting ACT exam next year. My dream is to go to Stanford. I took a leave and stayed at home, not wanting to go to school. I thought, maybe I'll just continue like this. My daily life is simple yet boring, and I've even contemplated ending it all. In these days without family, I am the closest person to myself. A week later, as I descended the stairs, I inadvertently spotted a boy with large blue eyes lingering on the staircase, looking around. I'm not one to engage with people, so I didn't speak to him, but his eyes left an impression on me, captivating and alluring. I started paying attention to the boy. Every day, he would descend the stairs with me, carrying a large backpack. The difference was, I turned right, while he turned left. Later, I followed him to his destination, which turned out to be a rather ordinary high school in the city. He seemed about the same age as me, and I learned he was a junior. Next year, he would be taking the ACT exam alongside me. Everything used to be unrelated to me, but now it's all interconnected. I wasn't initially inclined to go to school, but now, just to see him, I'd willingly head downstairs with him around 7 a.m. every morning. Then, in endless gazes, one turning left, the other turning right. Because of him, rainbows started appearing in my sky. I regarded him as my first love because, before him, no boy had ever cast a shadow in the sky of my life. At last, one day, I broke the ice. It was a rainy day, and I had forgotten my umbrella. Standing at the door, I was pondering how to get home.
Need any help?
Really appreciate it. Can I walk with you? Just because of that one sentence, I stepped under his umbrella. From then on, there was something called love rippling in the sea of my heart. On our way, we chatted about all sorts of things, and it turns out we share a lot of common interests. This kind of love is like a runaway train. I found myself madly falling for him. Although it was somewhat unexpected, it felt so right and reasonable. We made a pact to get into Stanford together and meet again in some garden. I knew his commitment to this agreement was merely for the sake of my future. He didn't want to shatter a girl's grand aspirations. After that commitment, I never saw him again. He vanished like a yellow crane without a trace. But I held on to that promise. I started working hard, and when I felt exhausted from studying, I would recall the way he smiled. His words echoed in my ears, constantly encouraging me, lifting my spirits, helping me gradually emerge from the shadow of my father's imprisonment. That autumn, I successfully entered Stanford, consistently ranking at the top of my class. However, I didn't encounter him, and I was dumbfounded. How could that be? Then I realized his school had never had a record of anyone getting into Stanford before. He was deliberately deceiving me. Tears streaming down my face, I went crazy trying to find him when I returned home during the break, but to no avail. The door to his apartment was always locked, and the place was deserted. It wasn't until I asked the landlord that I found out the apartment had been rented by a boy, and he has now moved out.
He only rented it for a year and then he left. I have no idea where he went.
1 year, exactly the time he spent with me. I tirelessly searched for him, but to no avail. I have to thank him. Without him, I wouldn't have been able to fulfill my dream of getting into Stanford. Regardless of his intentions, he will always be my first love. 2 years passed swiftly, marking the halfway point of my father's sentence. Yet, at this time, I found myself falling in love.
I'm willing to accompany you through this lifetime.
I took it seriously in a daze, agreeing to him, just as easily as I did with that him in the beginning. I'm a girl easily moved. A bit of love and sorrow can stir endless waves in the depths of my heart. My life gained an extra him, like a little shadow following me around, until one day he led me into the sweet home of love that he carefully crafted. And in that same year, my father was released from prison. Not long after getting married, I happened to go to an auto repair shop for car maintenance. The one who received me was a tall and slender young man. How familiar his figure was. I was stunned. It turned out to be him, the boy who gave me a beautiful first love. Why did you leave without a word back then? You have to explain it to me. At that moment, I thought if he couldn't explain, I would give him a slap as a conclusion.
My father is the archenemy of your father. It was my dad who reported yours, leading to his imprisonment. I knew you were all alone, so I wanted to help you. I deliberately rented a place to stay close, fearing you might do something rash. I liked you, but my academic performance was terrible. I worked desperately to catch up, but it was too late. I didn't get into college, breaking our pact. It was all these things. 2 years ago, my father was also imprisoned.
A week later, I found him a job at my husband's company, and he kept bowing in gratitude. As he walked away, tears welled up in the corners of my eyes. Through tear-filled eyes on that rainy day, a boy and a girl walked home together under an umbrella. One turned left, the other turned right.